Danny watches a lot of television and movies. John does not. Listen in as she tells him about what she's watching, and he tries to make sense of it all. Welcome to Watching My Stories with Danny and John.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Danny.
And I'm John.
And welcome to Watching My Stories.
There we go. Hi.
Okay, that's out of the way. Let's get on with
Wow. Boom. Go.
So we don't have a lot to talk about, but I think the few things we are going to talk about could lead to longer conversations. So I do just want to get into it.
Okay.
And then everyone, for the Actors Corner, we are going to talk about Leonardo DiCaprio for no other reason than we literally closed our eyes, went to a station and decided and landed on Inception. And I said, okay, let's do Leo.
And we don't think we've ever done it before, but we apologize if we have.
I know we haven't, because I know I have not talked about all these movies.
It just seems so...
He's in so many others...
I guess.
That we've talked about a lot of these movies, but
yeah.
We haven't talked about him specifically.
Almost by extension we have, but
yeah.
not, I guess not specifically.
Okay, so first thing we're going to talk about is we went and saw Downton Abbey.
Yes, we did.
Bing bong.
Nope. Who's your friend who likes to play?
Oh yeah, wrong one. So as everyone knows, there were 7 seasons of the Downton Abbey show, which we loved.
Absolutely.
I watched from the beginning. I think I got you interested around season 3, so we binged the first few seasons.
Yep.
And then we just kept watching, and so we were very excited about this.
Yes.
I was very excited from as soon as the lights went down. It's a happy place. As soon as the music starts, it's just a happy place, and seeing all these people again was a happy place.
Yeah, it was like seeing old friends you hadn't for a while.
It really was.
It was just very comforting.
Yeah. And as each person came on screen, it was like, oh yeah, and you. Oh yeah, and you.
Yeah.
It felt that way.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and go first and give your thoughts.
Okay, so here's what I kept finding myself thinking yesterday. Why do I like this so much? I was trying to put my finger on why I like it so much, because it's not exciting. There's not a lot of excitement.
No, it's just good storytelling.
Well, that's exactly it. It's just good storytelling, and a lot of times it's very subtle, right? It's just a lot of times it's the inflection in a line. It's not so much the line; it's just how it's delivered that makes it just so compelling. I was asked this last week when I told somebody at work that I was going to see it. They're like, "What is it about that show? What do you like about that show?" And I'm like, "Well." And I couldn't put my finger on it. I'm like, I don't know, but it's just one of those things that I just like, and you don't always have to be able to explain it. If you just like it, you like it.
It really is good storytelling. And the series opened up with the sinking of the Titanic. And so immediately we were drawn into a world where it was also our world, because that's a real event. And so I felt like it was a perfect move to do that. That now changed the course of the entire Crawley family, and now what's going to happen. And so it was immediate. And what I heard one of the actors say this week was there's the caste system in the show, but there is not a class differential between the characters as a viewer. And that meant something to me, because I thought, I love Anna as much as I love Edith. And, for us, there is no difference between upstairs or downstairs. And there's stories for everyone. But watching a show that still deals with that sort of system is, again, sort of an intriguing thing right from the start as well.
Yeah, and I think by and large it helps that the upstairs people, the Crawleys, were really good to their people,
right,
and really cared,
right.
They weren't always fully aware of things and certain things that were going on,
right.
But once they found out, they did what they
which was not
could.
Normal. I think it would have been too harsh to really show how a lot of things.
Yeah, so I think that plays into my world of. I don't like a lot of conflict. I don't like a lot of stress and tension. That's just me, right? But this was nice because it wasn't probably the typical relationship between the upstairs and the downstairs.
Right. So the movie, if everyone knows, I think it's It's 4 or 5 years after the series ended. Maybe it's only like 3.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
And again, we open with, it's almost the same opening credits as the very first episode of seeing a letter being delivered and then taken up to Mr. Crawley,
Lord Grantham.
Lord Grantham. Just like when he read that the Titanic had sank, now he's reading a letter from Buckingham Palace saying that the king and queen are coming for an overnight stay on their tour of northern England. So that is it. That's what the movie's about. The movie is about this visit. It's about where everyone is, what everyone is doing at this point in time, and how the downstairs prepares for such a visit, how the upstairs prepares if there is any real preparation. And that's it. You know, it's like, again, there's not a lot. There are little side stories like Barrow going off and finding some people that are gay like him, which was, I actually liked that little offshoot because I've always felt bad for Barrow. As much as I can't stand him, you know that the only reason he's mean is because he's in pain. So I was really happy for him to discover there are a lot of other people like him. There's the little offshoot with Branson and, you know, what's going on with him. So, you know, there's little things like that. The one thing I found surprising, but I actually was really glad for, was that Matthew Good wasn't in the movie until the very end. Henry, Mary's husband.
Yeah.
But I was also really happy about that because then I didn't have to pay attention to Mary very much. She really didn't have much of a storyline, thank God.
Yeah.
Because I did not want to sit through a movie where it was just like, oh, and Mary has a child and Mary and Henry are so happy.
Yeah.
If you can't tell, I hate Mary. So
But you hide it so well.
So I was really happy that she was very much in the background. And I loved seeing Edith and how happy she is, even though, you know, there is some kind of tension between her and her husband. It's a good tension. She's still that woman who ran a magazine and now is like, and I'm supposed to be this person who just hosts luncheons. Like, you know, she doesn't want to be that woman. And I love that they didn't kind of change her into that woman.
Right.
That she is still sitting there saying to her husband, who also gets it, which I love. He's not one of those typical males of the time who thinks that that's who she should be.
Right.
You know, that she's saying to him, I think I need more to do. And if there's another one, I can't wait to see what that might be. You know, does she get back into the publishing business or what does she do? And Edith had far better outfits than Mary did in this whole movie. And the two headbands she has were just stunning and I loved it. So,
okay.
And she ranks higher than Mary. So she should have everything better.
Sure.
And she deserves it.
Wow. Absolutely.
I love Edith.
Yeah. So the only thing that jumped out at me that I was a little bit disappointed with, and it's just because I thought it was, you know, he was such a good character in the series, was we hardly saw Mr. Bates.
Yeah, I think, you know, it was all, yes. And here's part of the problem with that was, honestly, as it was wrapping up, and you can tell it's wrapping up, I got so sad. And it felt the same at the end of every season. But I was sitting there going, I've only had 2 hours. Please give me more. And part of that was, we didn't get to really dive into so many of the characters.
Sure.
Because there's too many.
Sure.
So how are Carson and, you know, Mrs. Hughes doing? It looks like they're doing pretty well. How is Mrs. Patmore? You know, is she still going to the farm and has she developed that friendship, you know, much?
Yeah.
And definitely Anna and John. We only saw their baby in one scene, which was nice for those of us that love them. And we're just like, oh, and there they are standing there as a family. And it was very heartwarming.
Right.
But yeah, we only got to see them kind of lead the charge in this thing, the big thing that happens with all the downstairs people, which was also wonderful because you can tell they're still really good people and they care so much about the house. And even when Anna talks Mary into staying with Downton Abbey instead of kind of closing up shop, you know, they care so much about it. But yeah, I wish they had an actual storyline because we love them so much. But that's it was tough. Even I can't imagine how Julian Fellows could even go into this and think, who deserves a story because,
Sure.
it's got to be like, again, just choosing your favorite kid or whatever because there's so many to tell. But I also liked what they decided to highlight. Mosley.
My favorite character on the show.
Yeah, he's the best. He's so wonderful, and the comic relief.
He has probably one of the best on-screen awkward moments in the history of filmmaking.
Yeah.
And the subsequent almost meltdown.
Right.
It was so Mosley.
Yes.
Yeah, it was perfectly in character.
Yeah.
And just really, a nice relief.
Yes,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
I loved Branson's story, and I think that was really important. I think we all want to see him be happy again and figure out his space. And so there's a good story for him in the next one as well.
Yeah. Are we doing spoilers?
I don't think I want to spoil like everything.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't.
I would be really interested to hear from like a panel of people who saw the movie who genuinely thought that Branson was headed towards no good. Because
I never thought
fooled for a second, especially after like the second conversation where he had that kind of quizzical look on his face, like.
So the point is, as everyone knows, is the king and queen are coming, and we all know that Branson is an Irish Republican and he doesn't believe in the monarchy. So people in the family start to go, "Oh, is Branson going to be okay with them coming?" And they start to question if he's actually going to raise a ruckus or not.
Right.
Like, and look, even Mary says no, he would never do anything to embarrass his family. And but they do try to make it look like perhaps he's scheming or something.
And the way
whatever.
they do it is about as good as they could do to make it look like he's potentially scheming.
Right.
It's just,
I think it's who, and this sounds really stupid, but we know him in our heart. So we knew he was never going to do something like that.
There's this character we watched for 5 years. We know this guy pretty well.
We do.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do that.
No.
And then with his daughter and all that. So yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really loved his outcome. I think I think it was all very well done. It felt very natural. Nothing was forced. A lot of times, well, this doesn't happen often. TV shows don't get movies as often as we want them to, but it could have felt very forced. Like, let me pack as much crap in there.
It never felt contrived.
It didn't at all. And the only thing I felt like was a little weird was the Dowager Countess deal at the end, which I'm not going to give away. But that did feel like, let me plunk this in here because maybe she's not going to come back for another movie.
Right.
Like that's how it kind of felt.
Well, I think it was a little bit genius because, if she has a conflict or whatever, or, I mean, God love her, Maggie Smith isn't the youngest person in the world.
Yeah, no.
So God forbid something happened.
And honestly, I hadn't cried and I was a little surprised by it. So I felt like I needed that, even though it had to be with Mary. But
well, it had to be with Mary.
It did. And I got that. And
Yeah.
so, but it's still a good moment and it was just good. There's nothing else to say. It just felt right and they better do another one.
I'm sure they will. They've already exceeded expectations at the box office, so I'm sure they will. And it sounds like the cast would all love to do another one.
Sure.
Right?
And there is so much more to do. And as the time goes on and this caste system breaks away, which it is, that could be really interesting to continue to explore as well. So,
absolutely.
Anyway, I'm gonna give it 5 stars. I mean, it's a 2-hour episode is what we got. So don't expect to come in and think, oh, I'm sure they did it up for this whole movie. No, it's a 2-hour episode and it's just as small and quiet and subtle as the series was.
Sure.
But that's perfection to me.
Yeah. Coming into this, I was, when you hear the movies coming out and you see trailers and whatever, you're something like this that was such a popular and good series. I was a little nervous about what are they going to try to do with this? Are they going to, are there going to be these arcs where, suddenly halfway through the movie it says 25 years passes or something like that, right?
Right.
No, this was just, it was like you said, an episode. It was a little snapshot in like a week's worth of time.
Yeah.
In this, in
the lives of this
of this house.
Yeah.
And it was great. It was more of the same. So if you like the series, you're going to like the movie.
Yeah.
If you didn't really catch on to the series, you're not going to like the movie.
You're not going to get it.
It's just that simple because it was literally more the same that we've been craving for the 3 years since it's
right.
been off the air.
Yeah.
And it was really well done. And, I'll be honest, towards the end, when it kind of slowed down a little bit, I found myself saying, well, okay, how long are they going to drag this on? Are they going to drag it on? And then I caught myself and I was like, I don't care. I don't care if they do because this is fantastic.
Oh, see, I didn't feel like there was a low point at all.
It was brief for me. It was
okay.
It was kind of a fleeting thing of it slowed down and then it was like, okay, where do they possibly go from here
right.
in this particular story?
Okay.
But then I caught myself and I said, I don't care where they
right.
go. Just keep something on the screen. I could
have sat there for another couple hours.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
Refill a soda, but yeah, I would have been good.
Yeah, so I gave 5 stars and you?
I got to give it 5 stars.
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with it. If you're a fan, there's nothing wrong with it.
I don't know what I was. It met my expectations, but I didn't have any. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I was expecting I was hoping for really good things.
Right.
And it hit it. It checked all the boxes for me. So yeah, I loved it. And I'll see it again as soon as I can.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, good.
All right.
Anything else on that?
Nope.
Okay.
Yeah. So what's next?
Okay, next is a new movie that came out on Netflix this weekend called Between Two Ferns, the movie.
Okay.
So this, if anyone hasn't watched Zach Galifianakis' show on Funny or Die, Between Two Ferns, this is a movie about it.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure everybody's heard of it because of the two, kind of famous episodes, the one with Brad Pitt and then obviously the one with Obama.
Okay.
That I would expect most people at least are aware of it because of those things.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so here's the thing.
Oh dear.
I love the show online. It's hysterical.
Mm-hmm.
The movie's a little tedious because it's that kind of the whole time. So the whole point is Zach has his show in this local access network in, I think it's North Carolina, South Carolina, something.
Mm-hmm.
And Will Ferrell is in it as the owner of Funny or Die. And he's an exaggerated version of himself. Like he wears a cowboy hat and cowboy boots and a bolo tie. But this is Will Ferrell. And he makes his money off of the clicks of Between Two Ferns. And so lots of stuff happens and the studio is flooded. And Will Ferrell shows up and says, I don't care. I need 10 more episodes by this time or else, I'm not going to do anything with you anymore. And so Zach and his ragtag team, who are all hysterical, they have to travel around the country now to tape these Between Two Ferns episodes. Mm-hmm. So lots of people in it, Matthew McConaughey and Chrissy Teigen, John Legend, and I'm blanking, but of course everyone's in it doing these things. Lots of shenanigans on the road. He's out of money, so they have to do all kinds of stuff. So they run into all kinds of people. Everyone in it is hysterical. My issue is I actually had to stop it 3 times, and I stopped, and then I go and do something for half a day, and then I'd come back and watch it.
Oh, okay.
I had to kind of do that though because Zach's character is annoying. He is playing that guy we see on Between Two Ferns, where he's very rude to the people, and he's very kind of stupid,
unaware,
and bumbling and all that sort of stuff. And so it's a little tedious to sit through that for as long as a movie.
Sure.
It's just a little too much. But overall the stuff is still funny. And everyone's Keanu's on it. which is funny. And I mean, you know, and his stuff when on Between Two Ferns, that's why it's such a hit. His questions are just hysterical, and the way he's just mean, it's so funny.
Right.
But anyway, so
but it's a lot for 2 hours.
it's a lot for 2 hours. At least for me, it was.
Yeah.
So you know,
I can see that.
I would just start it, see how you're feeling. If you're good and you're just happy and it's funny, keep watching, obviously. But if it's too much, stop it and come back the next day and keep watching it, because it is worth it, because it is funny. It's just you have to get past him, because everyone else is super funny in it.
So what you're saying is, if somebody's watching and they feel the need to stop, it's okay. If they do.
And just come back later.
Yeah.
So that's on Netflix. And you know.
And is it called Between Two Ferns?
Yeah, Between Two Ferns, the movie.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Next thing I watched is a documentary by Chelsea Handler on Netflix called Hello Privilege, It's Me, Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
This is a documentary where she tries to explore the subject of white privilege.
Mm-hmm.
So it's only like an hour and 10 minutes or something. It's not a long thing, and it's such a big subject to get into that obviously she's only kind of scratching the surface, but it's a good start. She talks to a bunch of different people, a lot of black people, a lot of white people, and talking about what white privilege is.
Mm-hmm.
Do white people think it exists? Which was the worst part. Was she went to Orange County and talked to a group of women, and none of them believe that it exists.
How is it even possible?
Yeah, they went to an Oktoberfest in Georgia, and same thing, you know, because a lot of voters are getting suppressed in Georgia. And so she would ask some white people, like, you know, what do you think about this voter spread? Oh, it's fake news. You know, if they can't fill out their name on the ballot, then that's on them, you know. And even one guy said, well, voting's a privilege. And she goes, no, it's a right. And he argued with her. He said, no, it's a privilege.
This is what you can't beat stupid.
Right.
That's
but it was what was really interesting was her exploration into it, because she honestly had no idea she had white privilege. She fully admits it, that she didn't realize. But now she fully sees her entire career is based off of that.
Wow.
She sees that she always thought, and I think this is a good point, is that she heard the word privilege and assumed that meant rich people. And I think a lot of people think that. So maybe we need to come up with a new word, because, you know, if you're poor and white, you still get to walk out of your house and not be, you know, killed or scared or whatever it is. So you still have white privilege, even if you're not rich. And you still probably can get more opportunities. But anyway, and what else she came across was, by listening to people, was that, you know, white privilege is a white person's problem. And, you know, that basically people of color are sick of trying to explain to us what the problem is, because it's our problem. We are the ones who exercise it, and we are the only ones that can correct it.
100%. Yes, I'm fully on board that. I think white privilege needs to be solved by white people.
Yeah. And so one guy was on there, he's written a bunch of books about it, and had a lot of great insight. And one of them is that the opposite of privilege is oppression. So, you know, by white people continuing to exert their privilege, they're obviously just pushing down anyone else. And, you know, the whole thing of just how stupid, you know, people think that equality means if I give something, I have to give something up in order for you to have it, and all that bull crap, you know, all that stuff was all in this because people are idiots. Well, but it was also very interesting. When she was in high school, she kind of ran away and was living with her brother, and then she went and she dated this black guy for a few years, and he ended up being a drug dealer, and she got pregnant twice with him and had a couple abortions and stuff. And she said that they got pulled over probably 4 or 5 times, and every time she got to go home and he was taken in. And she's saying now, as a 40, you know, early 40s, she's like, I had no idea that was happening. She did not make any sort of connection that it had to do with him being black and her being white.
Wow.
As a kid.
Yeah.
So she actually goes back to see him, which was really great. And so she reunited with him. She ended up living with him for quite a while. So she went back and saw his mom, and they talked about, all of their issues and what they've had to deal with. And so that I think really helped her too, to see some stuff, but not that she needs to anymore. I think she's really getting it, but she's really trying to seek out, what is it that I'm supposed to talk to other white people about? How am I supposed to have these conversations to get them to understand? Because, one of the things they talk about is people of color want to talk about this all the time, but white people don't. Well, yeah, because they're scared, which is why they have the privilege in the first place, So it is really a conversation that needs to be had, and start recognizing what it is.
Yeah.
And that it's not just that, like some of these women are like, well, now they get jobs, and it's like, screw you, man. Like it's not just, it exists on so many levels and on every aspect of life. It exists.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So that's what white people need to start to understand, is what privilege really is and how to change it and make it different.
Yeah, there are a ton of people in this country, probably the majority, the overwhelming majority, who have white privilege and don't even know it. They don't get it.
Of course, because every single white person has it.
And it's but they don't recognize it because they don't see it.
Right. Well, that was one of the things too, was she would ask some people and they go, well, I don't know. I only know white people, so I don't see it anywhere. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if you're surrounding yourself with only the same people, you're not going to recognize,
right.
And some people, she would say, well, would you recognize it if you haven't, it hasn't been pointed out to you?
Mm-hmm.
That's part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
You need to recognize it. And talk to everyone else about how they recognize it, period.
Yeah, so where I was going with what I was getting at is white people need to understand they have it. Whether they see it or not, they need to just accept that they have it.
It's not a belief. It's not like climate change and I don't believe in it.
Right.
It's the same sort of principle. It exists, period, end of sentence.
And it exists, and what can we do about it? What are people willing to do about it? A lot of people aren't going to be willing to do anything. They don't see the problem and it doesn't exist, or it's fake news, right? But a lot of us understand it, get it, don't like it, don't want it.
Right.
But what can we do?
So there are a lot of...
That's what I think, that's what I hope we get to.
Yeah, so there are a lot of ally groups you can join, like White People for Black Lives Matter. You can become an ally without having to, like one of the things they were talking about is you don't have to like pound the pavement and hold signs. You can become an ally just by joining these sorts of groups, figuring out what it is you're supposed to recognize, how to call out things when you recognize them, and just become a lifelong ally. And so there's lots of things like that you can look up.
Okay, good.
Yeah. So it's really good. Look, I'm so with Chelsea. You know what I mean? Like sometimes her comedy really throws me off.
Yeah, it is. She is really hit and miss for me too.
Yeah. And one of the things is she was called out in this because one of her books was called Uganda Be Kidding Me. And so she goes to this group of kids at USC and this guy's like, this is the title of your book. That's what, and she says, I didn't even think of it at the time. I thought it was funny. Like she didn't understand how kind of just insensitive or kind of classless it was, So that was always my thing with her, was her humor to me sometimes hits a little below the belt or is insensitive. But this documentary series that she's done previously on Netflix, and I forget the name of them, but she had one on drugs and one on, marriage and all that sort of stuff. She does these really well. And she's a really good listener when she's sitting there with people, especially when people are saying really stupid things, but she knows when to pipe up to say, but you're looking at it wrong. You should be thinking of it this way. So I really do like these things that she does. I think she's very interested in learning, and I appreciate that.
I personally think this is what she's best at.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. So it's really good. It's really worth watching. I don't think there's a human being in this world, and especially this country, that shouldn't watch it. Right. Just because it leads to conversations, and that's what we all need to have. So I will rewatch it with you for sure. Okay.
Yeah.
I know. You had said you wanted to watch it, but I was tired of waiting, so I watched it.
And I get that because I don't watch nearly as much as you do. So
it's okay.
Anyway, but yes, I do want to watch it.
Okay, so it's on Netflix. It's called Hello Privilege. It's me, Chelsea.
Okay.
Next show I'm going to talk about is BH90210, which is the quote unquote reboot of obviously Beverly Hills 90210.
You're not going to get much out of me on this segment. I didn't see the original really, and I don't know a thing about this.
Yeah. So I was a super fan of the original. We spoke about it before when Luke Perry passed. So when they announced they were rebooting, I was thrilled. And then it was announced what they were actually doing, and I was less than thrilled. So we only got 6 episodes of this, and we're still waiting to hear if they're going to come back or not. And what they decided to make this, and this was Tori Spelling who actually came up with the idea and produced it with Jenny, was to do kind of a meta show within a show. So they all came back as versions of themselves, very heightened, very exaggerated versions of themselves. And in the show, they're all coming together to do an actual reboot of 90210.
Okay.
So my thought is I really enjoyed it because I'm a super fan. I'm not sure people who are casual fans or casual watchers, I don't know what they got out of this. So I'd love to hear if anyone tried it and didn't like it. But there were a lot of kind of inside jokes. If you know the show in and out, there were a lot of things like that in there, which really cracked me up. They did a really fun job of coming up with their characters, of who, you know, they kind of really appealed to what people think they know of who Tori Spelling is or who Jason Priestley is. You know, they really kind of amped that up to be fun, really, and make fun of it all. And then when there were things talking about the show or talking about past days of filming the show, it was all just a lot of fun. They also tried to make it kind of twisty and turny. They had little things like there was a stalker, and, you know, they definitely tried to put in little things too to make it soap opera again, so that there was intrigue and different things going on.
Okay.
I thought they did a really good job of putting this together. If it doesn't come back, I'm okay with that. If it comes back, I think they're going to have to figure out how to sustain such a thing, which could be difficult for longer than 6 episodes, you know?
Yeah.
I don't think everyone will come back. I don't think Shannon will come back. And there were actually quite a number of episodes where you could tell Shannon was not filming with them. There would be some other brunette sitting in the background, and then they would cut to Shannon in a close-up, and then the next shot of all of them, the brunette had her hair in her face, and you couldn't see Shannon, you know. Right. So that was very strange, because of course they kept saying, "Oh, we're all get along now." I like Shannon though, so, you know, that's...
Well, isn't she sick?
She's in remission now.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but she was not going to do it originally, and then when Luke died, she decided to do it. And she's going to be on Riverdale for the season opener, because they are finally going to kill off Luke's character. And she's going to be on it for some reason. Probably his sister or something. Anyway, so so I enjoyed it. I don't know if everyone would. I think most people who were watching it and were fans, it sounds like, really liked it. So, you know, we'll see what happens. And look, mostly everyone looked really good. And I'll tell you what, Jenny Garth looks fantastic. Like, honestly, she looks wonderful. And the person who really looked the best to me, Gabriella Carteris. She looked so gorgeous in this and just really lovely. And I was really happy for her. You know, and she looks like someone her age, but she looked really good. And, you know, so it was just fun to see everyone. And, you know, I really enjoyed it. But I've also really, like, I watched all of Tori's reality shows that she had. And then a couple years ago, Tori and Jenny had a show, Mystery Girls, I think was the name of it. And it only lasted a season. I really liked the show. It was actually pretty darn funny. It had good writing and it was cute. And I really liked it. And I was sad that when it went off, because it was enjoyable. But so I could just be biased in some direction. But anyway.
Well, you probably are, but that's okay.
Yeah. So that's over. We'll see if it comes back.
Okay.
Next show I'm going to talk about is a new one on Netflix that came out on Friday called Criminal. So
it sounds like your kind of show.
So there's different iterations, and I only watched 3 episodes of the United Kingdom version. But there's a France version, there's a Spain version, there's a Germany version. I think that might be it. because each of them have 3 episodes. So I am going to go back and watch the others, but I didn't realize that all of them kind of went together until after I had. So what's different about this show called Criminal is it all takes place in an interrogation room in the police department. We don't go anywhere else. And so it is the cops interviewing their suspect and trying to get them to confess and how they do that. And then of course there's the mirror and cops on the other side of the mirror that are kind of talking about what's going on and figuring stuff out. So it's really interesting. So on the first episode, David Tennant was the suspect. The second one was Haley Atwell, Agent Carter.
Okay.
Love her. So it was like, it was really interesting and, it was really well done and captivating when you think it wouldn't be, but you're kind of finding out stuff because we're not going off and having side conversations somewhere else, so
it sounds like a unique spin on it.
It really is. It was really interesting. So it's Criminal on Netflix. Like I said, I watched the UK. I'm going to go back and watch the others and see how it all goes. But they're all in separate, like they aren't all, if I click on Criminal, all 12 episodes are there. Like there's Criminal UK and then there's a separate one for Criminal France and all that. So you got to find all of them to finish them.
So they're all done similarly.
They're standalone,
but they're
in
not
their
connected.
Country, right? I don't think so, but
keep us posted.
Yeah, we'll see. But I haven't been told to watch anything in any order. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so then I just wanted to quickly touch base because we didn't last week on the fact that Ghost Hunters has come back.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, go.
Yeah, so it's good to see. So I like the show. It's good to see it back. It's one of those, it depends on where you fall on the subject or whatever, but it's to me, it was always entertaining television.
Well, so we'll just give some history. So Ghost Hunters originally was Grant Wilson and Jason Hawes. They own Taps. They used to own Taps. And they had a show years ago that was on for a long time.
On Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now all that's come back is Grant, and he has a whole new team, and he is no longer part of Taps. Jason has kept Taps. And Jason and Dave, what are their names?
Steve Gonsalves
and Tango.
And Dave Tango.
They have their own show coming out in a few weeks.
Called Ghost Nation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just wanted to bring everyone up to speed in case you didn't know. And now it's on A&E.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. That was exactly where I was going with that. I was going to give a little backstory, but yeah. So it's really just a group of hunters that go around. They get called into various places and do investigations. And see if they can recreate what people are seeing or what's happening to them. And sometimes with very interesting results. A lot of times with very minor results. But it's all about the chase, right? So,
go ahead.
I enjoy it.
Yeah, my issue with this reboot is it does feel like before they used to go in and really be able to debunk almost everything, if not everything. Like a lot of times they left a thing going, there's nothing going on here. That's not happening this time. And I'm not sure if that's because they're not the public or the audience doesn't want to watch that anymore. Now there needs to be something there. So they aren't going to air places where they don't find activity. But it definitely seems like it's a little more amped up. Like, we got to find something. And I'm still not sold on this new crew either. It's going to take me a while to get used to them.
Yeah, I'm exactly in the same place. I think the original group, Grant and Jason and Dave and Steve, went into situations looking for excuses.
More cynical.
Why, what could have caused this, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
This group appears to go in looking for ghosts.
Right.
And if you hear bumps or whatever,
Yeah.
creaks and groans in the house and that sort of thing, if you're looking for ghosts, well, then a ghost did that.
Right.
And then it's just trying to get footage of it.
Which they kind of proved this last week, where they all went in thinking that 200 people had died in that asylum, and then the next day they researched it, and they had lots of activity, and then they researched it and found out nothing like that happened, and they go in and nothing happened.
Right.
So it was nice for Grant to point out your brain can force you to think something's happening when nothing really is.
So I think the big difference is that the new group seems to be very susceptible because they're going into it on the ghost side.
Right.
And Taps used to go in on the,
it's
not ghost
else.
side.
Yeah.
Prove it to us that, show us something that we can't explain.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
but I think that's the way these shows have gone now since they've been off the air, with your
Ghost Adventures.
Your bros that have ruined the entire thing.
Bros before ghosts.
I hate those guys.
You're so tolerant.
They're just awful. They're awful investigators. I'm sorry. I don't even believe in this crap, but if you're going to go in and they yell and scream and then expect to hear something, it just drives me nuts.
That is my biggest pet peeve. People who are paranormal investigators, self-touted, whatever, or have a reputation. They go into these places and there's this loud sound and they flip out. Right. They freak out.
They freak out.
Wait
did
a minute.
Did you hear that? Oh my God, did you hear
exactly.
that? You guys, it was down that way. And
so wait a minute, you guys.
What are you going to hear on that recording now? Nothing.
Take it in if you're the paranormal investigator you claim to be, just take it in stride and figure out what it was.
Right.
Don't flip out and shake the camera all over the place and scream that there's something touching you.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
That stuff drives me up a wall.
Yeah. That's what was always nice about Ghost Hunters.
I think there are things that we can't explain, and the original Ghost Hunters had enough experiences and had some really interesting video that they captured on some of their investigations that I think there's, and I'm not going to say I believe in ghosts, but there's got to be something going on. But yeah, right now the shows that are on don't do the subject technical service. That's for sure.
It'll be nice to have Ghost Nation on at the same time as Ghost Hunters and really get back into that sort of attitude and quiet.
Yeah, and I'd really like to know what happened.
I guess they addressed it on that sit down episode that we never watched.
Yeah, I'd just like to hear from Jason and Grant as to what happened that caused.
They did address it. We didn't watch that one, so
okay,
it's out there. You can look it up.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so that's Ghost Hunters. I think it's Wednesdays on A&E.
I couldn't even tell you.
And then I just wanted to give a quick update to Jane the Virgin. We're just going to keep updating you guys because I want everyone to watch it. So if you're still watching it, then I think it talks people into going back.
Yeah, and I didn't know much about the show. No offense, but I didn't really care about the show.
Right.
But you talked me into trying it, and I've fallen fully in love with it.
So we haven't watched it probably in over a week.
It's been really about busy. 2 weeks since we've seen it.
And we left it, I think, the second or third episode into the second season. We're already in the second season.
Yes.
So she had the baby. So are you still enjoying it?
I am. Okay. I am, and I do want to continue watching it. It's just we've been having other things. So busy. Yeah, it hasn't been a lot of quality. Hasn't been a lot of time to sit down and just watch an episode.
Right. We need to get back into it because I think it is it makes us in a better mood.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. It's a very uplifting, positive show.
It is.
Even with all the crazy shit going on, it's just yeah. It typically ends on a high note, and it's good, fun television.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll check back in again when we get probably to the end of second season.
Okay. Sure.
All right. So that's it. That's all I have to talk about. So let's get on to the Actors Corner and Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, we did Leo DiCaprio? Just kidding.
That was funny.
Doesn't look like it was. Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. You go first. Movies you love.
Let's see.
And we're going to have an argument here. Well, not an argument, but I just don't listen to him on certain things here.
Wow.
Okay, go.
That was the most offensive disclaimer I think I've ever heard.
Okay.
I take it in stride.
Yeah.
Movies I love. I got down to two.
Two.
Yep. Inception.
Huh. Okay.
And The Aviator.
Okay. So The Aviator I put under movies I like just because I ran out of room for other things.
Sure.
So we love that. You and I have both watched it multiple times. And he is so good in it. And again, another time where he didn't win, and I can say that on probably 5 or 6 of these movies that his performance was just amazing. But I love that movie. It's great storytelling.
Sure.
It's so good.
Yes.
Inception did not make any of my lists. I love it. It just isn't at the top of any of these lists.
Okay.
So you put it under love.
Yeah. So for me, it was such a great original concept and story. I really wanted it to win the movie.
Yeah.
I certainly wanted Christopher Nolan to get director. And I thought, after seeing it and loving it so much, I don't know that I could see anybody else in that role.
Yeah, true.
So you add all that up, and I loved Leonardo DiCaprio in Inception.
Yeah.
So that's how I arrived at that.
Yeah, everyone was perfect in what they did in that movie.
They really were.
Yeah, and it really was a great concept, and
it was so original. Yeah.
And every time I wake up now from having a dream within a dream, it's all you think of now is Inception.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've ever had a dream within a dream.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm usually not that aware of.
Oh yeah.
Right.
I remember
I
all my dreams.
Yeah, I guess.
So for me, it's obvious.
Go ahead.
Revolutionary Road.
Yep.
If you guys follow me on Instagram, you saw that I just watched it last week.
Twice.
Yeah, and for me, I can, like I said, there's 5 or 6 performances of his that deserve something, and that year he deserved it for this. It is one of the most amazing performances between both of them, him and Kate Winslet. We talked about this movie with Kate Winslet. This movie is probably under a movie that John hates. I don't think he's seen it well enough to really see that, to say such a thing. It's fantastic. It's such a great story. And there's nothing else to say about it. It's just, it's perfect. And Michael Shannon, Kathy Bates, everyone, Catherine Hahn, everyone in it is just perfect. But the two of them are magic, and especially in such a story.
Was that what that big disclaimer at the beginning was about me in Revolutionary Road?
Yes.
Well, so if I tell you I only have one movie under hate and that's not it.
Oh, yay.
Will you take it back and promise to be nicer to me?
If that's the case, then yes, people can listen to you now.
All right. Thank you.
So my first one is Revolutionary Road. If you haven't seen it, you have to see it. And second is Django Unchained. Again, he's freaking fantastic in that. I love that movie. That is, it's close to beating out Pulp Fiction for my favorite Tarantino movie. Such a good movie all the way around. But Leo's performance in that is really top. And that's how he is now. There's nothing that you've seen in the last 10 years from him that isn't, where he is just the best he's ever been. And then he comes out with another one and it's the best he's ever been. So, anyway.
So doing this, Actor's Corner, and going through his IMDb, he is a movie star. I mean, he is the top of the heap. He has had a career that very few people in history have had. Everything he's touched pretty much has turned to gold. Yeah. Right.
And I think, and I don't want to speak for him because I don't know him, but I think that Titanic crap did that for him. I think after that he said, I need to make better choices. And he has. I mean, working with Scorsese, 4 or 5 times, and, taking on such movies that are so gritty for him to be an actor in. It's just, he's made good choices.
Okay, so doing Titanic was a bad choice?
Yeah.
Okay.
For him, he didn't like that, that he was the teen beat, he didn't like that sort of attention. And no one in that movie got acting. There were no acting nominations for that movie. Even though him and Kate still did a great job, and the reason I watch it is because of them. But it was a hard turn for him for getting so much attention like that. He didn't like that sort of stuff.
Well, it was the biggest movie for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what that was about. Right. It was the biggest movie, and he was in it. He was the star.
Yeah, but he was getting the attention for being a heartthrob. That's what he wants to be an actor.
He was young and hot. What are you gonna do?
I'm not gonna argue about something we're both assuming. So
okay,
it doesn't make
okay, all right. We'll
movies you like?
The Departed.
Yes.
Catch Me If You Can.
I thought you hadn't seen that.
I did see it.
When? Because when we talked about Tom Hanks, you hadn't seen it.
2 months ago. It was on.
Oh.
So I caught it. It was fun. I thought it was cool.
Okay.
It was good. I enjoyed it.
Yes.
And Django Unchained.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have The Aviator and The Departed. The Departed is a top movie. And I think everyone we've talked about who's in that movie always makes the top of our list.
Yeah.
Because you can't go wrong. Everyone's so good in it. I freaking love that movie. It's just, you don't see what's coming. Nervous wreck the whole time. Ending is fantastic. It's so good.
Yeah.
I just love it.
I love the movie except the very end. Right. I didn't want it all to quite go down that way.
Oh, it was perfect. I had to.
I guess.
All right. Movies you hate.
Shutter Island.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's on my list. I did not enjoy it.
No, me either.
I was so disappointed. I wanted so much more.
And you see it on paper, you read the write-up, and it's like, oh, that could be good.
Exactly.
And it just...
Good people.
Every step of the way bothered me.
Yeah, it just wasn't good. I also have Romeo and Juliet, which I've never seen. But I was very angry at that time in my life that they were coming out with a Romeo and Juliet where instead of course, it was modernized. So they were shooting guns at each other. Mm-hmm. And I did not like that in my Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, well, yes.
I'm a purist.
You're okay with the modern remake, just not the guns.
I would have been.
Yeah. Some purist you are.
No, I would have been if they had picked up swords and done it the way it was intended. I just don't like
modern day with swords.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Interesting. That would have been an interesting choice. I'm not sure that movie would have been made.
Secretly Love.
What's Eating Gilbert Grape?
I have not seen it.
Yeah. It's the only movie I've had much feeling about Johnny Depp. Because you feel for Johnny Depp because he's trying to hold this messed up family together, right? And Leonardo DiCaprio plays his younger brother who's got learning challenges,
right?
And Leo's so good in it, and Johnny Depp is really good in it.
Good.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it. What do you secretly love?
The Beach. One of my top movies of his. That was the first movie I had ever seen in my life where I left the theater sick to my stomach. And that was the first time I had been physically moved by a movie. It's only happened a couple times since then. But I remember that feeling of coming out of that movie. And I love that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's a great thing because it was so deep and real. It makes you think, and he was so good in that at the end. It's just Tilda Swinton, and it's just a really interesting film, and I love everything about it, and I will watch it if I can catch it on anytime because it's really good.
Yeah. How many nominations has he gotten for Best Actor?
I don't know.
I mean, he could easily have multiple Academy Awards. I mean,
he should have. I mean, that's the thing is getting it for The Revenant when he deserved it for Revolutionary Road. He deserved it for Django. He deserved it for even Wolf of Wall Street. It's been a long where all these other stupid people kept coming up and winning, and I would be so angry. Basically, since Revolutionary Road, every year when he's been nominated, which is most years, I'm always thinking, okay, he deserved it for Revolutionary Road. Just give it to him. Just give it to him.
Well, and I haven't seen The Revenant, but that wouldn't shock me if that's kind of what they did.
Yeah, to me, he did not. It's not that he didn't deserve it for The Revenant. He was very good in it. It wasn't as amazing as all these other performances. So we'll see what happens this year with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too. I also under Secretly Love, I also have Titanic. After I just talked all that crap, I still watch it quite often, and I'm not sure if those two weren't in it, I probably wouldn't. And when it came out back in 94, I refused to go see it in the theater because it blew up into this thing, and it became this thing that I'm not a James Cameron fan. And so it became this thing, like it was bigger than itself. And I was like, screw you people. I'm not going to go, see this thing. And it took me probably a year or two before I actually watched it. And then I realized I'm not into it for the romance of them or any of that sort of thing. I love the two of them in it and what they do, but I love watching the effects and I love watching the ship go down. So, it's, I know it sounds so weird, but I do enjoy the movie. It's very lovely to look at. And the two of them are great together. Okay. I'll watch, if they just keep doing movies together, I'll just watch them forever. So. Yeah,
I think a lot of people would.
Yeah.
I mean, they're great together.
Yeah. All right. Embarrassed you haven't seen?
Titanic.
Yeah.
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 One of these days.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm seeing bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
Right. I know enough about it to.
Yeah. Ship goes down.
It's
not a happy ending.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, then I don't need to watch it. I know how it ends.
Yeah. Any others?
For I haven't seen?
Yeah.
Embarrassed? No.
Okay. I have two. What's the Eating Gilbert Grape, which I'll never go back and watch now. And Gangs of New York, I never saw.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not embarrassed about that one. I'm embarrassed about Titanic because it is so big and everybody else has seen it.
Right. I am because of Daniel Day-Lewis and him and everyone that's in it is supposed to be great, and it's just not my thing.
Well, two of the best actors of our time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
and adding to your watch list?
The Quick and the Dead.
Oh, that was a good movie.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Yeah. I didn't have any except, he's got 8 projects in the works.
I know.
So I'm just happy to keep watching whatever. And, honestly, I think in a few years' time, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood might make my list for this, because as I keep thinking about it for some reason since I saw it, him and Brad are so good in it that even though I'm not certain that I liked the ending and I really liked anything else about the movie, watching the two of them and what they do in it, I can't wait to watch it again because of that.
Sure.
So it could be something big.
Sure.
Okay, so honorable mentions, just because he's got so many. Of course, first time I watched him was on Growing Pains. He was just so great and adorable. Basketball Diaries, fantastic movie. Him and Mark Wahlberg, true story, so good.
Okay.
Quick and the Dead, Catch Me If You Can, Blood Diamond, classic. I mean, really good. Inception, Great Gatsby. I had never read the book. But so I was expecting a lot out of the movie, and then I was like, that's what everyone is saying, this is the best American novel. Like, is there more in the book? So it was a little weird for me.
Is there more in the book?
Wolf of Wall Street. I love that movie. Entertaining as heck. The Revenant. He's just really good. You only watch it for him.
See, I never saw Wolf of Wall Street yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's entertaining for sure.
The Jonah Hill's in there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. See, I don't know why I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
It's probably right up my alley, actually.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a true story, so it's always good.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. So he's got a ton of them. But yeah, he's been around for 30 years and just gets better and better and better. And so, you just can't wait to see what he does
You
next.
could argue he's just now reaching his prime. I mean, he had a stretch there. Let's see, Django Unchained, Wolf of Wall Street, The Departed, and that sort of thing, right in that same kind of time frame.
Yeah.
That any actor that rivals any actor's best stretch.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Probably the top.
Yeah.
But I think he's only 45.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think he's 6 years younger than me. So yeah, I think he could just be reaching his prime, and he has a lot coming out.
Yeah,
so we'll see how that.
You can't go wrong. I think that's the bottom line. Is you just you'll never go wrong to choose something that he's in.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. I think that's it.
Whew. Wow.
So all Emmys are on tonight.
They are?
Yep.
Holy smokes, that snuck up on me.
Emmys are on tonight, and all the new shows start tomorrow. So I'm probably going to be touching on anything that I think is really good, even though, we're only going to get one episode in the beginning, and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
All right. until next time, I'll be watching my stories.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, bye.